So know the appendicular skeleton, okay? Appendicular skeleton is gonna be, right, collarbone, which is the clavicle, okay, the shoulder blade, which is the scapula, okay? Now the arm bone is the humerus, lateral bone, the forearms, radius, medial bone, the forearms, the ulna, and we have the wrist bones are the carpal bones, hand bones, metacarpal, then we have phalanges of the upper extremity. Okay, lower extremity, right, the top pelvic bone, right, superficial is gonna be ilium, anterior pubic, okay, posterior is gonna be ischium. Thigh bone is the femur, right, the patella is the kneecap, the shin bones, tibia, lateral bone, the legs, the fibula, then we have tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges of the upper extremity. Okay, so, the clavicle makes contact with the sternum on the medial side, okay, makes contact with the acromion process, okay, on the lateral side, makes that AC joint, it makes an AC joint. The glenoid cavity, okay, makes contact with the head of the humerus, makes a ball and socket joint, okay, makes a ball and socket joint. If we go distally, right, okay, on the humerus, we have condyles, okay? Those condyles have names, right? The upper extremity, okay, capitulum and trochleum. Okay, capitulum on the lateral side, trochleum on the medial side, and on top of those we have epicondyles. See, epicondyles. Okay. So now, our ulna, okay, has an olecranon process. It fits in the olecranon fossa of the humerus, it makes a hinge joint. Olecranon process goes into olecranon fossa. Okay? Right? If we go distally, right? So we have our carpal bones. Know the names of the carpal bones. Okay, there's 8, so there's 2 rows of 4. Start at the thumb side or lateral side. So scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform. Okay, pisiform looks like a little P, it means P. Okay, then go to the thumb side again, but go distally, okay? So it's gonna be, you grab a trapezium, you have the really small bone, trapezoid, big bone, capitate, and hamate scaphoid. Okay? Then we have 5 metacarpals, okay? They're named from the thumb side over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they all have proximally is the base, middle shaft, and distally is the head. And all the fingers have that too. The thumb has 2 fingers, all the other fingers, the thumb has 2 bones, all the other fingers have 3. Okay, and they all have a base, a shaft, and a head. So again, proximally is the base, then we have a shaft, then we have a head. Okay, and the pelvis, the 3 bones come together, they make holes on either side. The holes in the pelvis are called the obturator foramen. Obturator foramen. Obturator nerve goes right next to that. Okay, the 3 bones also come together and they make a socket. That socket is called the acetabulum. The 3 bones come together and they make a socket. That socket's the acetabulum. Okay, the femur head goes into that acetabulum and makes a ball and socket joint. Okay, makes a ball and socket joint. Distally on the femur, okay, the smooth parts are called condyles, okay, medial lateral condyles. They don't have names, just called condyles. Above the condyles are called epicondyles, okay. On the tibia, if you go distally on the tibia, okay, the bump on the inside of your ankle, right, that bump there, that's called the medial malleolus, okay. The lateral side, right, the fibula, the distal part's called the lateral malleolus. So your 2 malleoli, medial and lateral malleoli, make contact with your first tarsal bone. That's called the talus. Okay, so the medial and lateral malleoli make contact with the talus. Anterior to the talus bone, okay, you have a navicular bone. Anterior to the navicular bone, you have 3 cuneiform bones, first, second, and third. You have 6 cuneiform bones in the body, right? 3 on each foot. Okay, your heel bone is called the calcaneus. Okay, and the lateralmost bone in the foot is called the cuboid. Okay, and then the metatarsals, right, will have a base, a shaft, and a head. Right, the big toe, just like the thumb, has 2 bones. All the other bones have 3. All the other phalanges have 3, and they all have a base, a shaft, and a head. Okay, that's about it for appendicular skeleton. Okay, and so again, the study of bones is called osteology. The study of the movement of the body is called kinesiology, right? And then study of joints is arthrology, okay? Study of joints is arthrology. Okay? That's gonna be chapter 9, all right? Okay, so, let's see. So note that joints are named for their structure, that's how close the bones are together, and their function, the degree of movement, okay? So bones that are very tightly close together have no movement, okay? These are synoarthrotic joints, they do not have a synovial cavity. So a synoarthrosis is a non-movable joint. Know the examples, okay? Sutures in the skull, okay? Your tooth, right, your teeth are gomphosis, okay, they don't move, okay? And a syndesmosis is your tibia and fibula. There's an interosseous membrane that locks everything together, okay? So synoarthrotic joints don't move. Examples are sutures, a syndesmosis, and a gomphosis. Okay, amphiarthrotic joints. Okay, these are slightly movable joints. Okay, they're held together by cartilage. Okay, syndesmosis are held together by fibrous connective tissue. Okay, so these are cartilaginous joints, amphiarthrotic joints. So examples are your pubic symphysis, okay, and your growth plates. Okay, growth plate is called a synchondrosis. Okay, these are amphiarthrotic joints. Okay, freely movable joints, okay, are also called synovial joints or a diarthrotic joint. Okay, so diarthrosis is a freely movable joint. They have a synovial space and they have synovial fluid in it. Okay, it's mostly made up of hyaluronic acid to keep the joint nice and mobile. Okay, it keeps the joint nice and mobile. Okay, so know the examples of synoarthrotic joints. So your shoulder joint, your hip joint, these are ball and socket joints. Okay, your elbow joint, your knee joint, okay, your fingers, your toes, these are hinge joints. Okay, the wrist, right, is a condyloid joint. Okay, your thumb's a saddle joint. Okay, a pivot joint is going to be your radius, right, coming over your ulna, right, and your atlas and axis. Okay, and a gliding joint or plantar joint is going to be your metatarsal joints. Okay, then your foot, gives you a little spring in the foot. Okay, the only ligaments I want you to know are going to be in the elbow. So you have a lateral or radial collateral ligament and a medial or ulnar collateral ligament, okay, for side-to-side stability. Okay, no in the knee. Okay, so on the lateral side, you have a lateral collateral or fibulocollateral ligament. On the medial side, you have the medial collateral or tibial collateral ligament. Okay, front to back stability, you have an anterior collateral ligament and a posterior collateral ligament. Okay, and these are going to be where they're attached to the tibia. Okay, so anterior tibia, anterior collateral ligament. Posterior tibia, and posterior collateral ligament. Okay, all right. That's about it for the joints. All right, now we got muscles. Okay, now we got muscles. Okay, so just for the muscle tissue section, just know the anatomy. Okay, so a muscle cell or muscle fiber is the same thing, right? They're just long, right? Those cells are long, correct? Okay, all right. So each individual muscle cell is going to be wrapped. So the plasma membrane of a muscle cell is called the sarcolemma, right? Everything inside that cell is called the sarcoplasm. And we have myofibrils, those are organelles that make the muscle cell contract. Okay, so each individual muscle cell is surrounded by protective connective tissue, okay? That's called an endomysium. Okay, so each individual muscle cell is wrapped by an endomysium. A bunch of those come together and they're wrapped by a perimysium. Okay, we call that structure a fascicle now. All the fascicles are held together by an epimysium, and we call that a muscle. Okay, so each individual cell, endomysium, right, inside. Okay, then a bunch of those are held together by a perimysium, and we call that whole structure a fascicle. All the fascicles are held together by an epimysium. Epi means above. Epimysium, we call that a muscle now. That's wrapped in fascia. Okay, so the inside portion of fascia, or the bottom portion, is adipose and areolar connective tissue. It's going to insulate, it's going to protect, it's going to hydrate the muscle. Okay, the upper part of the fascia is going to be dense irregular connective tissue. So that dense irregular connective tissue forms into a tendon. That's dense regular connective tissue. That's connected to the periosteum of the bone, which is dense irregular connective tissue. So very, very tough. Okay, on the myofibril, okay, we're going to section it off into sarcomeres. okay? And a sarcomere, they have thick and thin filaments. The thick filaments are myosin, the thin filaments are actin. When the thick filament hits the actin, you get a contraction. That's really all you need to know right now for that job, okay? All right, so we have different types of muscle fibers. Okay, so slow twitch muscle fibers, slow twitch, okay? They're the smallest in diameter, okay? They have a lot of capillaries, so a lot of myoglobin, a lot of hemoglobin. Okay, so a lot of blood goes to those. So those fibers are very, very red in color, okay? They're gonna make ATP strictly by using aerobic means, so they're gonna use oxygen, okay? They have a very, very slow rate of contraction, but they make a lot of ATP and they split ATP very slowly. Okay, so these are gonna be our non-fatigable fibers. So these are fibers for posture, okay? Then we have our fast twitch A. Fast twitch A, a little bigger. They do have a lot of mitochondria, just like slow twitch. They do have a lot of myosin, they do have a lot of myoglobin, hemoglobin, a lot of capillaries, okay? Just not as much, okay? So their contraction velocity times 3 times greater than slow twitch. And they can make ATP by aerobic means and also from glycolysis, okay? So these are called oxidative or glycolytic. Okay, the fast twitch B are the fastest, they're the fastest velocity of contraction. They are the largest, they don't have a lot of myoglobin, they don't have a lot of hemoglobin, they don't have a lot of capillaries. These muscle fibers tend to be very, very white in color, and they make ATP strictly by glycolysis. They split very, very quickly, and they're very fatigable. Okay, but you get a lot of speed and power from those. Okay, right? So red muscle fibers, a lot of blood. White muscle fibers, not so much. Okay, not so much. Okay, let's see. So where a muscle, where the tendon in a muscle starts, is called its origin, and where it goes to is called its insertion. Okay, what does the motion, what does the action? Okay, is going to be the belly of the muscle. Belly of the muscle. Okay, and it works on a lever system. So with 3 types of levers, right? First class, second class, and third class. First class lever is like a little kid's balance or a teeter-totter, right? Okay, so the fulcrum is the pivot point. That's going to be your C1, your occipital bone on C1. Okay, those condyles on C1. Okay, where the force is going to be the neck muscles, back of the neck muscles, right? Semispinalis capitis, splenius capitis. Don't worry about those, but that's what it is. So the weight's going to be the head. Okay, then second class lever is like a wheelbarrow. It's going to be your gastrocnemius and soleus muscles, your calf muscles, right, pulling you up on your toes. Third class lever is the most abundant. Most of our levers in our body are third class levers. That's important. Okay, that would be like your hinge joints. Okay, okay. So you have flexion and extension there. Okay, flexion and extension. So the prime movers are the muscles that do the work. Okay. The fixator muscles stabilize the joint. They stabilize the joint. Okay, muscles that work together, like your quadricep muscle group, right? There's 4 muscles. They work together, so they're synergistic. Okay, they're synergistic, and together they extend the leg at the knee. Okay, so muscles that work together are synergistic. Okay, antagonistic muscles do the opposite. So the opposite of extension of the leg at the knee would be flexion of the leg at the knee, right? Flexion. That's your hamstring muscles. Okay, but now they work together to flex the leg at the knee. Okay, flex the leg at the knee. All right, let's see. Let's start naming muscles. Okay. All right, so muscles around the eye, right? Around the eye. Something that goes around something orbits it, right? Okay, eyes oculi, right? Orbicularis oculi closes the eye. Okay, so what opens it? The levator. When I go upstairs in a building, use the elevator. Levator labii superioris, right? Tells you where it is. Okay, the muscle on top of the frontal bone, frontalis. Muscle over the occipital bone, occipitalis. Muscle over the temporal bone, temporalis. Okay, so it tells you where they are. Okay, so what does the levator labii superioris muscle do? Levator labii elevates the lips. It tells you, on the superior side of the mouth. So the depressor labii inferioris makes you frown, right? Makes you frown. Okay, anguli, the depressor anguli oris angles the lips. Okay, and your orbicularis oris closes the lips over the teeth, right? It orbits the mouth, orbits the mouth. Mentalis muscle makes you pout. Okay, and what's the zygomaticus major and minor do?
Raises your cheek.
Right, makes you smile, right, pulls the lips up. Okay, so zygomaticus major and minor makes you smile. Rastorius gives you a fake smile, okay? So the buccinator muscle makes you pucker, right, it's the kissing muscle. So you blow the bugle with the buccinator, right, you gotta pucker or blow a bugle, right? Blow the bugle with the buccinator, okay? All right, so know the muscles of chewing, it's called mastication. Okay, the muscles of mastication, think, time to eat, time to eat. The T in time stands for temporalis. The M in time stands for masseter. So the temporalis and masseter muscles elevate and retract the jaw. So they close the jaw and pull it back, okay? The I in time stands for internal pterygoid, which are called the medial pterygoid now, same thing, okay? That's gonna aid in elevation of the mandible. It's gonna protract the mandible and move from side to side, okay? The E in time stands for external pterygoid, which they're calling lateral pterygoid, okay? That's gonna move the jaw side to side and open the jaw, okay, or depress the jaw, okay? So know the muscles of chewing. Everything's in my little white book, except these two groups. Don't wanna go over now. It's in the later chapters in that book. Okay, so know the muscles of the eye. Very easy, right? They're named for where they originate, except for two. Okay, so, right, the one that's located laterally pulls the eye lateral rectus. The one that pulls it medially, medial rectus. The one that pulls it up and in, superior rectus, and down and in, inferior rectus. Now, if you look to the outside, okay, you think of opposite of what you're gonna think. So, if you're looking up and out, okay, you're going out, right, O for out, O for oblique, O for opposite. So what's the opposite of up? Down. So the inferior oblique pulls the eyeball up and out. Okay, the superior oblique pulls the eyeball down and out. Okay, because they're located they're named for where they're located, where they originate. Okay, so they do the opposite of what you would think. Okay, all right. Know the muscles of the tongue. Okay, these are incredibly easy. They tell you where they're located. They tell you what they do. Okay, so right from the styloid process of the temporal bone, right, the styloglossus, right, goes from the styloid process to the tongue. When it contracts, what's it do? Pull the tongue in. Okay, genioglossus, genio means chin, right, goes from the chin to the tongue. When it contracts, it sticks the tongue out. Okay, palatoglossus, the palatine process in the roof of your mouth. Okay, palatine process loops underneath the tongue. When that contracts, it elevates the tongue, right, and the hyoid bones underneath. Okay, hyoglossus, when it contracts, it pulls the tongue down. Okay, it pulls the tongue down. All right. All right, so the big muscle in the neck here, right, when it contracts unilaterally or by itself, it turns your head to the opposite direction. When they both contract, it aids in deflection. And it's called your sternocleidomastoid muscle. It tells you where it is. Sternum, clavicle, mastoid process. Okay? The muscle in the back there, trapezius muscle, big muscle, right? Goes from the spine of the scapula, it goes from the occipital bone down to the spine of the scapula, all the way down to T12. Okay, it elevates, depresses, and retracts the scapula. Okay? All right, let's see. Well, so know the muscles of the rotator cuff, okay? So first of all, on top of your arm here, okay? Okay, it originates at your clavicle and spine of the scapula and inserts in the deltoid tuberosity. When it contracts, it abducts the humerus. That's your deltoid muscle. Okay, deltoid muscle, abducts the humerus. Okay, underneath there is your rotator cuff muscles. So think of those as the sits muscles, right? So the first S is supraspinatus. It initiates abduction of the humerus. Okay, then underneath the spinal scapula, right? The I, you have the infraspinatus muscle. Infraspinatus muscle laterally or externally rotates. Laterally or externally rotates your humerus. Okay? Okay, so now, the T in sits, teres minor, also externally or laterally rotates. Okay? And the subscapularis, the second S, is on the anterior portion of your scapula. It internally or medially rotates. Okay? Okay, the teres major muscle also internally rotates. Okay, but it is not considered part of the rotator cuff for some reason. Okay? All right? Okay, let's see. let's do, the muscles that flex the forearm at the elbow joint, okay? Brachialis is the main flexor, and also biceps brachii. Biceps brachii not only does it flex, but it supinates, it does this. Okay, antagonistic or opposite of flexion is what? Extension, right? So your triceps brachii muscle, it extends the arm and extends the forearm. Extends the arm and the forearm. Aconius just extends the forearm, okay? Go to wrist flexors, right? Very easy. It tells you what they do. Flexor carpi radialis flexes the wrist on the lateral side. Flexor carpi ulnaris flexes it on the medial side. Palmaris longus pulls your palm up. Okay? Extensors, extensor carpi radialis. You have a longus and a short one. A longus and brevis, but extensor carpi ulnaris. Okay? Anything with the thumb, thumb's called pollicis. It tells you what it does. Flexor pollicis, extensor pollicis, adductor pollicis, abductor pollicis, opponus pollicis. It tells you what it does. Okay? Same with the fingers. Okay? Extensor digitorums, extend the fingers. Okay? Flexor digitorums, you got two. The superficialis extends, flexor carpal, I can't say it. Flexor digitorum, first they have to do tongue. Flexor digitorum, okay? They go to the middle bone, okay? The middle bone, okay? The flexor digitorum profundus, it's steeper, goes to the distal bones, okay? The flexor, okay, the flexor, okay? All right, if I'm gonna go to the lower extremity, again, in my little white book, everything's grouped, it makes life real easy. Okay, so if I'm gonna flex my thigh at my hip joint, it's my iliacus and my psoas major and minor muscles, okay? They're gonna flex the thigh at the hip joint. Okay, what extends the thigh at the hip joint? Gluteus maximus, gluteus maximus. Okay, abduction of the thigh at the hip joint. Tensor fasciolata, gluteus medius and minimus. Tensor fasciolata, gluteus medius and minimus, okay? All right, the opposite of abduction, adduction. Okay, adductus longus, adductus brevis, brevis just means short. Adductus magnus means big. Okay, gracilis and pectineus. Okay, all right. Don't worry about the rotators for now. Okay, so now we're going to extend the leg at the knee. Extend the leg at the knee. Okay, so we have there's a quadricep muscle group. Okay, there's four muscles on top: rectus femoris. Outside, vastus lateralis. In the middle, underneath the rectus femoris, vastus intermedius and vastus medialis. Collectively, they extend the leg at the knee. So, antagonistic to that would be what? Flexion of the leg at the knee. Those would be your hamstring muscles. Biceps femoris, going to the fibula, and your semimembranosus and tendinosus, going to the tibia. Okay? If you're looking at your anterior tibia, that muscle, right? Called the tibialis anterior muscle, it tells you where it is. That's going to dorsiflex the foot and invert the foot. Okay, so dorsiflex the foot, pulls you up on your heel. Opposite of that, right, plantar flexion, you come up on your toes. That's gastrocnemius, soleus, and plantaris muscle. Most people don't have the plantaris. Okay, so your calf muscles, right, make you plantar flex, make you come up on your toes. Gastrocnemius and soleus muscle make up those tendons make up the Achilles tendon, and that attaches to the calcaneus, okay? The heel bone. Okay, so now tibialis anterior also does, right? Inversion of the foot, inversion. Okay, opposite of that would be eversion, so you're looking at the side of your foot. Fibularis longus and brevis, which you used to call the peroneus longus and brevis, okay? So fibularis, right, you got the fibular bone there. Anything with the toes, flexor digitorums, extensor digitorums, anything with the big toe is called hallucis, and it tells you what they do. So very, very simple, especially on a multiple choice test. You just gotta review it. I can't stress how much you need to know this stuff. Okay, you need to know it. All right. Now we're into blood, last chapter, chapter 19. Okay, so the study of blood is hematology. Okay. And it's part of the cardiovascular system. So the cardiovascular system consists of the heart, and the heart's gonna pump the blood through the blood vessels, okay? Tomorrow we'll start the heart, okay? All right, so know the characteristics of blood. Well, first, know the function of blood, okay? So function of blood, okay, we're gonna transport stuff. Okay, we're gonna transport red blood cells, okay, and nutrients to the cell. We're gonna pump oxygen and nutrients to the cells, okay, and we're gonna pump CO2, carbon dioxide, and waste products away from the cells, okay? And your red blood cells do that, we'll go over that in a second. Okay, blood also regulates temperature, okay, and pH. Okay, so, when you're really hot, right, the blood goes to the top part of the skin, okay, so you dissipate that heat. When you're cold, right, the blood's gonna leave, right, the fingers, the toes, the ears, your nose, okay, that's why they get cold quicker, okay, and it goes all around your internal organs and brain to protect it, okay, right? In the hemoglobin, right, the protein, right, it's a good buffer, okay, it's gonna buffer our blood, okay, and we'll see that next semester with an experiment on it, make it easier to understand. Okay, and then we're gonna protect ourselves with blood platelets, stop the loss of blood if you should break a blood vessel, okay, and your white blood cells fight infection, all right? Okay, so characteristics of blood, know that. Okay, so, okay, blood's thicker than water, right? Viscosity is greater than water. Okay, takes about 0.8%, about 8% of your total body weight, 8% of your total body weight. Okay, and the pH of blood, very important, 7.35 to 7.45. So not a lot of range there. Okay, you go below, you go to state acidosis, go above, go to state alkalosis, both very damaging to cells. Okay? All right, so know the blood cells, know how long they live, know what they do. Okay, so red blood cells are called erythrocytes. They live 120 days because they don't have a nucleus. Okay, and their job is to transport oxygen and also carbon dioxide. Okay? It's because the hemoglobin molecule that's on there. Okay? Center of the hemoglobin molecule is iron, that's why blood's red. Okay? 4.8 to 5.4 million red blood cells per unit liter of blood. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, the next one's white blood cells, okay, or leukocytes. They last from seconds to years. Okay, when they divide to fight infection, a lot of them die right away. But like you have T helpers, T memory cells that last your whole life. Okay, right, so we have, their job is to fight infection, and we have two types of white blood cells that you need to know. So we have granular leukocytes, they look very grainy under the microscope. These are neutrophils, eosinophils, and our basophils. Okay? Agranular leukocytes are going to be your T lymphocytes and your B lymphocytes, and your monocytes also. Okay? All right, so now we have platelets. Platelets are called thrombocytes, right? Cells that clot. Okay, and they clot blood. They're involved in the stoppage of blood loss if we break a blood vessel. Okay, these guys are actually self-fragments. So they break into like 2,000 pieces. They start out as megakaryocytes. Okay? And they last 5 to 9 days. 5 to 9 days. Okay, so all blood, okay, all blood cells start out as pluripotent stem cells. Okay, you make blood in your red bone marrow. Okay, you make it, red bone marrow is in the ends of long bones and flat bones, okay? And your fetal liver will make blood also. Okay, if you can't clot blood, okay, it's called hemophilia. Okay, because you don't have clotting factor. Okay, and the stoppage of blood loss is called hemostasis. Okay, not homeostasis, hemostasis. A hemostat's a clamp that clamps off a blood vessel. Okay. All right. If you get a clot in an unbroken blood vessel, if you have a clot in an unbroken blood vessel, it's called a thrombosis, right? Condition of a clot, right? Osman's condition of. Okay. And that clotted material could be some sort of cellular debris. It could be fat. It could be plaque. Okay. It could be an air bubble. Okay. You know, that actual clotted material is called a thrombus. So the condition is thrombosis. The actual clotted material is called the thrombus. When that clotted material breaks free, it's called an embolus. Okay? When that embolus gets stuck in a capillary or a small blood vessel, it's called an embolism. Okay? The embolism happens in the lung, it's called a pulmonary embolism. If it happens in the brain, okay, it's called a cerebral vascular accident, okay, or CVA, or a stroke. Okay, if you get like a kind of clot and it opens up again, they call that a transient ischemic attack or a mini stroke. Okay, TIA, transient ischemic attack or a mini stroke. Okay? So if you have ischemia, it means that you're clogging a blood vessel. Okay, that is going to cause a decrease in oxygen, which is called hypoxia. Okay, and then you're gonna get cell necrosis, which is cell death, which you get that in your pathology classes. All right. That's, we also did blood typing, right? We did blood typing. Okay, so that runs on an antigen antibody response, right? An antigen antibody response. Okay, so no, the antigens are like the ID cards, right? The antigens are on your blood vessels. I mean, on your red blood cells. Okay, these are like an ID card. Okay, the antibodies are the cops that are looking for a foreign ID card. Okay, so they don't belong there. Okay, so if you have A blood, it means that you have a antigen or a ID card. Okay, which means your blood plasma can have anti-B cops or anti-B antibodies. Okay, okay, they don't want B blood in your body. They're gonna attack it. Okay, if you have B blood, it means you have B antigen. Okay, you have B ID card, but you have anti-A cops or anti-A antibodies. Okay, if you have AB blood, you have both ID cards, but you have no cops because they're not gonna attack you. Okay, if you have O blood, you have 0 ID cards. Okay, you're like invisible. Well, you're gonna have both cops looking for an AB blood. Okay, so the universal blood receiver is type O. Okay, because if you take I'm so sorry. The universal donor. Do this again. The universal donor is type O blood because it has 0 antigens on it. 0 antigens. So it's not going to get detected, right, in someone else's body. If you have AB blood, you are the universal receiver because you don't have any antibodies. You don't have any antibodies against blood. Okay. All right. So O negative is the rarest. If you have O negative, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you want to, go donate blood because they need it. So O negative is important if you're in an accident and you're bleeding out. So it takes a couple of minutes to cross-match your blood, okay? So as they're doing that, they're just bagging it with type O because that'll keep you alive, that'll keep your blood volume up, okay? Now, if you have an extra ID card, it's called RH, okay? Right? We named it after the rhesus monkey, right? So it's called RH. If you have RH, it means you're positive, okay? So if you're A positive, you have A antigen, but you also have RH antigen too, okay? That is it for that test. Really not too bad, okay? Not a lot of stuff, okay? All right, that's about it. I'll watch. All right? All right, so next week we come in, come and sit in here, right, we take the test right away, and you're done, all right? And then go home, and we'll go over it in lab, okay, in lab. All right, just like that. All right, let me take the pens real quick again. Alini. Let's see, Carla.